John Stuart Mill was a 19th century English philosopher who is still loved by Western nations due to his philosophy of utilitarianism, which has been utilized to morally justify all of the horrible, culturally destructive decisions the United States has ever made. Mill continued the work of his mentor Jeremy Bentham, also an Englishman, who first developed utilitarianism. That's right, America. Britain still controls you. Utilitarianism is a consequentialist philosophy, that is to say, the end justifies the means. Morality is applied to decisions based on the impact of them and not necessarily the action that was taken. Bentham used one of the devil's tools to determine this morality: math. He utilized the happiness calculus, which gave every impact a positive or negative value. The morality of the decision is based on the greater amount of positive versus negative consequences. This process is performed in one's head whenever one makes a decision, such as deciding to take a sixth shot of tequila or not. Positives: 1. Impress the hot girl with your manly drinking capacity. 2. Show her how much fun you are. Negatives: 1. Inadvertently impress the other girl who is on the prowl with her attractive sister. 2. Lose control of your sensibilities and take her home. 3. Wake up in a bathtub full of ice without a kidney. More negative consequences occur than positive ones, and thus the sixth shot was an immoral decision. Bentham used this happiness calculus to determine the greatest good in any given situation. Mill, however, thought that Bentham's greatest good theory was too elementary. He modified Bentham's approach to be the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Put back into math terms, he changed Bentham's coefficients from a set 1 to a variable x. Mill algebratized happiness. He believed that the greatest good might not necessarily be for the most people, but rather who benefited most from a decision. The degree of benefit may be a quarter of the worth for 3 people than the opposing 1. In that situation, the greatest good for the greatest number of people is for the 1 over the other 3. Mathlosophy. Utilitarianism is interpreted in 2 styles: act and rule. Act utilitarianism dictates that the moral justification lies in each individual act. Each decision must have the consequences interpreted individually to determine whether or not it is morally justified. Remember the on-the-prowl girl? She needed to raise $50,000 in effort to be a doctor and save lives in her future. The drunken man presented an opportunity to steal a kidney and sell it on the black market for $50,000 and set her on the path to be a great doctor. The consequences of this decision will benefit more people than it will hurt the one man who loses his kidney. The decision in and of itself is morally justified. Rule utilitarianism, in contrast, pursues a positive general consequence. Decisions are made within the context of a greater goal, and if the consequences are congruent with the greater goal, then the act is justified by rule utilitarianism. If applied to the previous example, then the moral justification changes. The greater goal for doctors is to promote health and help others, so the consequence that the drunken man was harmed by one who is in essence a doctor makes the decision immoral. In the end, Mill remains the philosophical groundwork of Americans and Western nations alike, pitted against his arch-nemesis Immanuel Kant. His work overshadows his mentor Jeremy Bentham, who was upset by this and turned himself into a zombie who resides in the halls of Oxford.